Week 2 of the Gregg Popovich's era features Swansea City taking on Manchester United live from the Liberty Stadium. Good afternoon. The Gregg Popovich era has reached in full swing as we are entering Week 2. And there has been nothing to keep Manchester United away from the news as the team and Gregg Popovich had completed the signings of a bunch of players over the last week, all relatively youngsters and all relatively low transfer fees, as opposed to the 90 million that they paid for Romelu Lukaku, who earlier this week was actually confirmed to be injured with a broken ankle which will keep him out for 3 months, already putting some pain on Gregg Popovich's plans. One player making his debut on the pitch today, however, Nemanja Matic, who unfortunately I completely forgot to mention in the opening game against West Ham in the plethora of stories that I was discussing. Nemanja Matic unfortunately fell by the wayside, rather unintentionally, of course. So, youth is the thing at Manchester United, just like it was back in 1992, just like it was with the Bugsy Babes. Gregg Popovich is buying into the youth culture at Manchester United, but unfortunately none of his newest signings even made the team today. Gregg doesn't want to mess with the team that won at West Ham, but he is forced into a change or two thanks to the injury to Romelu Lukaku. Gregg Popovich, Game 2. For Swansea today, Fabianski will start in goal. He's with Norton, Bartley, Fernandes and Bernard in front of him as a defensive back four. The midfield is a back three somewhat with Fur, Mazer and Britton. Dyer, Bonney and Parbon are the front three. Over Bonney recovering from his kind of globe-trotting era, now ends up back at Swansea. For Manchester United, David De Gea, as always, starts in goal. It's a back four and a regular back four of Valencia, Bailly, Jones and Luke Shaw. It's a midfield three with Herrera and Matic with Paul Pogba. And it's a front three this time with Jesse Lingard and Wilfried Zaha either side of Martial. And no real changes to the bench. Marcus Rashford, obviously, one of the main men in there for emergencies. Well, Manchester United signings. Ryan Bertrand from Southampton, the left back. Because it was well documented that one of the few problems that Manchester United had in terms of player weakness was the wing position. So Ryan Bertrand was signed for left back. Benjamin Hendricks from Bayer Leverkusen was the right back solution. They'd already signed Wilfried Zaha, of course, for one of the wings. The other one has gone to Rondon Sombi of Stoke, a rising youngster. And all those players we just mentioned are rising youngsters. Paul Pogba with a pretty poor free kick, to be honest. And like Manchester United have stated this season, it's back to what made Manchester United so great in the first place. And Gregg Popovich does have a lot of experience with nurturing young players and able to get the best out of them and as early as possible. And Kawhi Leonard of the San Antonio Spurs would attest to that perfectly. So Gregg is buying into United's culture of and love of young players, as it were. But unfortunately, none of those players have made the team today. He's gone with Luke Shaw and Valencia in the full-back positions, with the two wingers being Lingard and Wilfried Zaha. Zaha has gone behind his man, Pogba. Pogba has found Martial into the box. It's wonderfully done. It's a goal, but Martial is called offside. That is so unfortunate. Oh, he's just off. It is the right decision by the linesman. Well spotted, but a great goal from Martial nonetheless. But unfortunately, it will not count. Martial, a lot of space, takes a shot. Fabianski right there to punch it away. And the other signing, obviously, which we reported last week, the signing of Gazzy Zardes, the rising star in the MLS. And I think it makes perfect sense for an American soccer player, as it were, to come over and help Gregg Popovich with his settling a little bit. And Herrera just pulling that shot wide, actually. And not far off either. Gregg Popovich is not lost at that. Another animation in typical Gregg Popovich frustration. He can be a coddler, but he can also be very firm when he needs to be. He's kind of the perfect mix, like Sir Alex Ferguson would be attested to. Almost a mirror match, to be honest. Although Ferguson can be seen as a real hairdryer kind of moments if it doesn't go his way. A couple of players can attest to that, of course, in the past. Gregg Popovich, it might be a little less than that. Pogba, wonderful pass to Zaha, and that's a wonderful pass to Martial. And look at the space he has. Martial off the post, and cleared away by Swansea. But Martial had so much space there, and it was rather unfortunate that he couldn't make the shot count. Wilfried Zaha, as reported last week, is actually, he came over, he kind of, let's say, volunteered to play for Manchester United for a third time. It's his third spell here. And Gregg Popovich, he's already been given maybe 2 more games than he ever got under Sir Alex Ferguson or David Moyes. So his Manchester United career is counting a bit more now. It's a delightful ball and Martial. And it's delightful stuff from Manchester United in this first half. And whatever Gregg Popovich has said to his team during this week, it's starting to show on the pitch and it's starting to work. Unfortunately, it's not really given them a goal yet. So a lot of people in the media and in the news probably saying that Gregg Popovich will probably struggle most in the Champions League, as it is 32 of the world's top teams in split into groups for the first stage, of course. Many people expecting Gregg to get through his group. It should be relatively comfortable. It's when he gets to the knockout rounds where it could start to get tough, especially if he's drawn against Real Madrid or Barcelona. Speaking of Barcelona, and Thomas Muller has gone to Barcelona for £68.9 million from Bayern Munich in a very shock move, to be honest. Thomas Muller obviously very following Toni Kroos over back to Spain. Obviously Toni Kroos is more Real Madrid, of course. So Toni Kroos and Thomas Muller, who were once Bayern Munich teammates, will now be facing each other in Spain's top 2 clubs, or 2 of 4, maybe 3 or 4 if you throw in Atletico Madrid and maybe Atletico Bilbao as well. Here's Dover, he's gone past Jones, who has slipped, and David De Gea has spared him some blushes. Well, there you saw Wilfried Bony, a bit of a globetrotter in some way. He's gone from Swansea, then he went to Stoke, then he went to Manchester City. Or was it Manchester City, then Stoke? Some way around like that. And after all his trotting around, he's now ended up back at Swansea. It's amazing how things work out sometimes. Much like a Paul Pogba scenario. Like Pogba only went to Juventus. After being sold by Ferguson against Manchester United, that's a foul on Probin. That would have been very harsh on Manchester United if that had not been given. Here's Matic. Amazing that Chelsea even let him go. It's absolutely weird how football works like that. The champions only go into one of their talisman assets. Martial has done brilliantly and has scored an absolutely wonderful goal. Martial with goal number 2 under Gregg Popovich. Just absolutely phenomenal work. And Gregg Popovich has made this match work. His team's emphasis was to keep the ball today, and it has certainly proven why. Martial just spinning out everybody that got anywhere near him. The Swansea defence kind of falls asleep, trying to double teams him a little bit. And well, Gregg Popovich dealt with a lot of double teams on star players like Manu Ginobili and Tokedy Parker and Tim Duncan back in his San Antonio Spurs days, and I guess Martial knew how to deal with it. And it has helped him score his first goal of the season, joining Marcus Rashford on the Manchester United scorers list right on the stroke of half-time. And Manchester United have a very deserved lead because they've played phenomenally in this first half. And Swansea could be in for a very long rest of the afternoon if it keeps going like that. And Manchester United end this first half with a rather commanding lead in terms of what their objective was. Gregg Popovich's emphasis this game was to keep the ball and keep the passing simple, and it worked. And Martial just brilliantly dazzling footwork to create an opening for himself to get his first goal of the season, and Manchester United lead at the break. Swansea could have a very long second half if Manchester United keep playing sparkling football like that. Swansea 0, United 1, and it's well deserved. Martial, and look at the opening that Ander Herrera has to score goal number 2. Wide open. And Ander Herrera and Manchester United as a whole just tearing Swansea to ribbons here. And where was the defence? Absolutely nowhere. And look at this, wonderful pass. Martial just waits and waits and waits, and more dazzling footwork, and no one tracks Herrera back at all. But number 8 there, Leroy Fer, I think that is, has left Herrera to just stroll really into the box, and there's no way he's going to miss that. That is poor defending from Swansea City, and Manchester United make them pay. Wonderful second goal for the captain, Ander Herrera, who was pretty much promoted to kind of mainstream captain, if you like, after Michael Carrick and Aaron Henwood were initially given it. Michael Carrick was saying, well, I'm not really going to play that often, give it to Ander, and Aaron Henwood kind of added double to that in his kind of role as, well, sort of an assistant, but he put Herrera's name up as well, and he was made captain as a result, and he scored his first goal of the season. And up next for Manchester United is a real crowd pleaser. Old rivalry comes to the fore in the Carabao Cup, as it's now called. The holders Manchester United are taking on Leeds at Ellen Road. And a real crowd pleaser for the first round of games in that competition. And the ones that everyone's going to have their eye on. Leeds and Manchester United, fierce rivals back in the days of the Premiership. And that's a foul on Pogba, penalty given. And that is a penalty, yes. Bartley has given away a foul. The referee is really just waving away any protest Bartley might have. I'd like a replay if it's possible. Here we go. And yeah, clear penalty. Slid in very unnecessarily for Bartley, to be honest. And Anthony Martial will have a chance to get his second goal of the game with this penalty. Here he comes. Oh, he's funked it. Funked it past Fabianski. And 2-0. And Martial rather subdued in his celebration. It's been a stroll for United and Gregg Popovich this time around. 3-0. Clear penalty. And Fabianski is nowhere near that. And Martial, who's really kind of relishing under Louis van Gaal. Gregg Popovich, I mean, sorry. He seems to be relishing it, and Greg has emphasis on keeping the ball. Well, he's not even need to really push too hard. His team have done all the good work in this game, and Martial, that's the second goal of the game. He's on for a hat-trick, and I wouldn't bet against him right now because he is relishing under Gregg Popovich at the moment. And most of these young players that have probably come over from their respective teams have looked at Gregg Popovich and smiled because they know they're going to get a chance under a man who really sees benefit in young players. The old players might be feeling a little bit threatened, like Michael Carrick, but Gregg Popovich sees value in old players as well, if you remember. Well, oldish players, we should say. Older, probably. More respect to them, of course. But he has experience with that as well. Tim Duncan, I think almost 20 years in the Spurs side, and was a great leader in that regard. So Gregg Popovich having both sides of the coin. Well, oh, that is absolutely just phenomenal. 4-0, and Paul Pogba this time, and it is a stroll for Manchester United. Swansea are being torn apart. Paul Pogba, look at that footwork. That is absolutely phenomenal, and it might even be an own goal. I think that may have nicked under the heel of someone, and it did. The referee is actually given it as an own goal against Meza, and Paul Pogba cruelly denied, but he made it happen. And a fourth goal for Manchester United, and we could be on for even more here. We've not approached the hour mark. It was soon after the hour mark that Marcus Rashford scored 1 against West Ham, and that was the only goal they scored. Today they've had 4. And it is all looking really rosy under Gregg Popovich so far. Look at the gaps in that Swansea defence. Paul Pogba is going to exploit it. He's going to play with them as well. He's toying with them. Manchester United comfortable as anything at the moment. Thumping 4-0 victory at the Liberty Stadium today. Manchester United and Gregg Popovich have put on an absolutely star-studded show in which Swansea had absolutely no chance. And a convincing win for Gregg Popovich in game number 2. And everything he probably said to the team worked. Martial just short of a hat-trick today, but probably my man of the match. Stunning performance for the first goal in particular. There was an own goal as well by Meza. It was off a Paul Pogba, absolutely stunning footwork. And Manchester United have been spellbinding in this match. Swansea 0. Manchester United a very magnificent fall. In the coinciding games today, Burnley take a 2-0 win against West Brom at Turf Moor, while former champions Leicester City thumped Brighton and brought them back down to earth a little bit with a 3-1 win today. Liverpool beating Crystal Palace by 2-1. A complete shock at the Bet343 Stadium, as it's called now, and not for Britannia, but in any case, Stoke City have beaten Arsenal today by 1-0. And that is, of course, Manchester United Swansea, as you just saw. A magnificent 4-0 victory for them. Meaning the table, as really we expected, Manchester United shooting to the top with a even points with Leicester, but a far superior goal difference, well, by 1. But in any case, the 4 goals certainly helped Manchester United shoot to the top of the table at the end of the afternoon. Newcastle and Southampton completing the top 4 with Everton 5th. Stoke in 6th, Chelsea 7th, Watford 8th, Liverpool 9th, and Burnley reaching into the top 10 ahead of Manchester City. In the relegation zone, it's real problems for West Ham, Brighton and Arsenal, who after 2 are on 0 points. Carabao Cup action and a fierce rivalry returns as Leeds United take on Manchester United in this first round tonight. Well, what a game to witness the first round of these Carabao Cup games, especially for the holders, Manchester United, as they come up against former fierce rivals, Leeds United, fierce rivals from their Premiership days back a few years ago. But sadly for Leeds, they've dropped a bit far back since then. I think they are a Championship side as of right now, but I don't think the rivalry here is going to be any less fierce than it has been in the past. Saw probably some bad blood to try and settle. But some more player debuts, and 2 for Manchester United, as Victor Lindelof, who signed for Benfica early in the window, and one of the signings from earlier in last week, Benjamin Hendricks from Bayer Leverkusen, make their Manchester United starts today, as do a few others, including Joel Pierre in the Manchester United goal, and Hal Gomez in the midfield with Scott McTominay. It's a very young side, which fades into Manchester United's emphasis on the young player this season, as they look to rebuild from the bottom up, as it were. But this is going to be no easy game, and Leeds will be more than up for it to prove that maybe they've still got something to offer Manchester United in terms of a game. Van der Velde is in goal, Sars is with Hernandez up front for them as well, and a very different side to the one that played a few years ago with the likes of Mark Viduka. I do believe Kevin Phillips is there, and Nita, which I don't think is Furin and Nita from Newcastle, it's another one. Joel Pierre starts in goal today with Benjamin Hendricks, who's with Chris Smalling, Victor Lindelof, and another start for Luke Shaw. Midfield is Scott McTominay with Gomez and Carrick. Rondon Solby makes his Manchester United debut, as does Gazzy Zardes, and up front with them, Henrik Mkhitaryan. Here he is again. Oh, what a turn by Gomez. In and out, Angel Gomez. Absolutely sensational. That was really unfortunate. Gomez deserving of his first Manchester United goal, and he didn't get it. A wonderful turn and wonderful footwork by Gomez. That's going to be such an integral part of his game, and he'll be able to use his size to really zip past players when he gets into the groove of being a Manchester United player. Well, a transfer that happened most recently, and I think we all knew this was coming. Just not where to. Diego Costa, 52.7 million to AC Milan of all places. Everyone was thinking Atletico Madrid, but Chelsea then go to AC Milan instead. And that was a rather surprising outcome. And considering we all knew Diego Costa was going to leave eventually, because a lot of Chelsea's assets were going. One surprise was Nemanja Matic to Manchester United. AC Milan isn't really particularly a threat, unless they meet in the Champions League, of course. Solby has picked out Angel Gomez. Angel Gomez has gone down. Zardes! He scored! And Gazzy Zardes gets his first Manchester United goal, but Gomez once again doing all the work. He went down, and it probably should have been a penalty, but the referee played on, and Gazzy Zardes took full advantage, and Manchester United a goal to the good against the rivals Leeds, and there seems to be no stopping them. Gregg Popovich is working magic here for these Manchester United fans, and maybe, just maybe, something might be on after all. And if they keep playing like this, Manchester United's lowered expectations might become lofty in a hurry. But they're playing it down. But United are somehow proving their own board wrong. Leeds 0, Manchester United 1. Wonderfully done by Hendricks. Signed by Leverkusen, the youngster. Zardes, brilliant turn. And Zardes is lighting it up tonight. By Mkhitaryan with the corner, and Michael Carrick. I think that was forcing a save out of the Leeds goalkeeper. And it is Michael Carrick. Decent header. Very well done by Michael Carrick there. Corner to United. Mkhitaryan again. And Carrick again. Here's Hendricks. The ball is bounced off a Leeds man and into the half of Zardes. And his bounce ended up bouncing it away from him. And now Gomez. Brilliant stuff. Zardes. Straight the keeper. And sort that out. Manchester United have had a game here against Leeds, but it's ultimate that the who lead thanks to Gazzy Zardes' first ever Manchester United goal in his debut. And much like Marcus Rashford used to do, but Manchester United have the lead here in the return of an old rivalry. Leeds are giving them a game though, it's not over yet. Leeds United 0, Manchester United 1, and Gazzy Zardes giving them the lead at the break. And Michael Carrick is going to make way for Marcus Rashford from Manchester United while Powell comes off, or comes on for Zars. There's confirmation of Carrick going off for Rashford. I would have said wonderfully done by Bertrand, but it's not. Leeds with one last attack. And saved by Piera. Wonderful stuff from Joel Piera in particular as well. And it's not the thumping in terms of goals, but spectacular individual performances from the likes of Victor Lindelof, Angel Gomez, Gazzy Zardes, and others. A great team performance from United all round. And Zardes actually capping it off with his first United goal. He was unlucky not to get more. And Gomez just was unlucky not to have a goal. But Joel Piera as well. A great first clean sheet for him. And if this is the future of Manchester United, which a lot of people are saying it is, the future, well, it looks very bright, doesn't it? Especially under the lights tonight. Leeds United gave Manchester United a game here, though. But Manchester United prevailed. The holders are through by a goal to 0. Progressing through with Manchester United at the end of tonight. West Ham United going through on a 2-0 win against Blackburn Rovers as Blackpool beat Burton Albion by 2-1. Brentford 3, Grimsby Town 0 is how it stayed. Brighton have taken down West Brom, so Brighton advanced by 2-0. And Cheltenham have eliminated, well, no, I read that wrong, but Cheltenham in any case have eliminated Barnet by 1-0. But there is a shock. Doncaster Rovers beaten Crystal Palace by 2-0. Doncaster Rovers, I believe, are in League 1. So what an elimination, a great day for Doncaster. Leeds being eliminated by Manchester United. Mansfield Town 0, Luton Town 2. Norwich Rochdale went to penalties, but Rochdale progressed 3-4. Queen's Park Rangers lost to Fulham by a goal to nil. Southend losing to Newcastle by the same scoreline. Stevenage 1, Oxford United 3, Swansea City 5, Forest Green 0. So they've definitely recovered from their loss at Manchester United. Wigan Athletic have removed a huge scalp in the name of Liverpool. Wycombe have lost to Aston Villa. Joy for Mers YT13 as his team progresses against Wycombe.